We're going to take a quick look at some of the attributes that are associated with Boolean type functions and Boolean type terminals. So in our previous discussion, we know that a Boolean is a data type that only has two states. It's either on or off or true or false. So in this example, I'm going to start with the front panel display, and under modern, I'm going to select Boolean. So these are our inputs and outputs, our controls, as well as our indicators. We have controls such as toggle switches, push buttons, slide switches, and indicators, really just LEDs. So I'm going to choose one square LED, and I'll place it on the front panel. And I'll go ahead and I'll resize it just so that it's easier to see. And I'm going to call this status. And I'm going to look at a couple of properties of this. So I'm going to right click on the LED I just created and go to properties, and very quickly I just want to look at two major functions of it. So if you notice, I have the option to change the color whether it's turned on or off. So let's say that when the indicator is true, or when it's on, instead of green, I want it to maybe be red. And then when it's off, maybe I want it to be blue. So I can change anything that I want to. I can also change text and allow text to change depending on whether it's true or false. So in order to do that, I have to select this Show Boolean Text. I can select that, and now I can put a message, very short message, that will display whether it's true or false. So when it's on, I'm going to call it pump run. And then when it's off, I'm going to say pump off. Okay, and I can change the text color and do different things with it if I want to. All right, so just to test this, I'm going to have to create a control that will allow me to turn it on or turn it off, just to see what the display looks like. The easiest way to do that is to select this vertical toggle switch. I can place it here. And I will have to wire it. So there's my Boolean control and my Boolean indicator. So if I'm in the wiring mode, I can take my wire from the input to the output. And I can run this real quickly. You notice that the status says pump off. The switch is down. When I mouse click it, I can turn it on, and now the background turns red and the message displays pump run. Okay. All right, so I'm going to stop this real quickly. One more thing I want to do, I want to replace this. I want to remove that Boolean toggle. I removed the Boolean toggle switch. I want to replace it with more of a standard push button. So I'm going to go back into Boolean, and I want to select this called stop push button, but we can make that anything we want to. I'll place it here. I'll resize it real quickly if I can. And I want to change some of the attributes of this as well. I want to right click. One of the things I want to change is the mechanical action. Mechanical action of a front panel push button can take the action of a real type of switch that you would see in the real world. And what I want to do is I want to choose this first one so that it will switch when pressed, and then it will stay in that condition until I press it again. And that will give me the mechanical action of a typical push button. One other thing I want to do is I want to change the properties on this side as well. So it has Boolean text, so I can have multiple strings. When it's on, I want to say pump running, and when it's off, I want to say pump off. And I can change the text colors. I can change the colors of the push buttons. There's lots of things I can do, and I'll just change a couple of them just so you see what the effect is, even though it may not look that great. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and wire this in, and we'll see what effect this has when I run it this time. All right, so I'm going to run the program. I've got it selected pump off, and my display says pump off. If I select it, pump run, and then the output shows pump run. So obviously you'll do a lot more than just creating an input to an output on a Boolean, but this kind of shows you how you can change some of the attributes associated with your Boolean control as well as your Boolean indicators.